Shalom. Welcome to Tea Time with Anna. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Has everyone had their tea today? I'm usually a coffee drinker, but right now I am actually a tea drinker for a little while because I am doing the detox, so I'm staying away from caffeine. All right, let's just take a minute and pray while I'm waiting for Victoria to jump on here. Father, I just pray over the technology. First and foremost, I thank you for today. I thank you for everyone that's listening. I thank you that your message would go out today, Father. Your message rings throughout the earth, Father. And so, Father, I just pray for protection over the technology, Father, and I pray that you would be glorified and that you would be magnified. In Yeshua's name, I pray and thank thee. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hi, Victoria. All right. Just waiting for Victoria to jump on. There you are. There you are.
Technical difficulties, of course.
Oh, no. You know what? I was on live once already and it dropped. But now everything's good. So, let
Okay.
me move some things around here. So I was just welcoming everybody to tea time. And I was telling everybody that I'm currently drinking tea because I'm usually a coffee drinker, but right now I'm doing the detox, which means I am caffeine free right now, sugar free right now,
Ah,
meat free right now. I'm pretty much doing like a Daniel fast as part as a part of the detox. And the detox program is, Victoria, we've been doing that. We did it. It's been about a month ago, and we're
yes.
doing it again. And so that's the physical aspect of the detox. So, Victoria, let me just introduce you to everybody. Anybody that's watching this right now, I just want to say hello and shalom. And Victoria is joining me for our very first tea time. I've never done this before. So, Victoria she is a client of mine, but she's such an overcomer that she's actually become part of my team. Yes. And I think we both got our overcomer shirts on today. I've got mine
I
on.
do. I try
Yeah.
to.
You've got on the overcoming daily. I've got on the overcomer because you know what? We need all the reminders we can get, right?
Yes.
And you did such a tremendous job with overcoming. Like you and I have been together a year, and now you're on the other side of this, on the other side of your challenges, and now you're better equipped to help other people get up out of the mud, getting unstuck from their challenges. And you are supporting me in that and helping me reach. Victoria Lucas, you still utilize all of the things that you and I have worked on, especially the
Yes.
book, right? And Victoria has joined my team. You were a coaching client of mine for a year, and you got on the other side of everything. And since then, you were so committed to it made such a change in your life and in your family's life that you actually so committed just to come onto the team and help me share the message. And so that's what I was encouraging everyone else to do is like share, like if they see anything that you and I are doing, to just share it with other people. That would be
Yes.
a blessing. They would help us. We're in the field, we're laboring. So we
That's
appreciate
right.
any support we can get. All right, Victoria. So I'm going to give it over to you. And
Woo!
yeah, because
Okay.
so we're gonna talk about tea time and what it's all about. And I'm gonna let you kind of share a little bit about that.
Well, I was I'm really excited to be able to do this with you because I feel that you have such an amazing message. You have such a gift to really not only spread the simplicity of the gospel, but really reach people with your testimony. And I really felt the
Mhm.
need of people to understand all the things that you have overcome, the whole
Oh,
year of
still overcoming.
being,
Yeah.
the whole year of being your client. And it's not just the tools that you've given me, the inspiration of how much you have overcome in your own personal life. So I really love the fact that we're able to just come
Talk about that.
together
Right,
and talk
right.
about everything that you've done. And so I just have a few questions for you so that people can get to know you. And hopefully we'll do this on a weekly basis, God willing,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Abba willing.
And Abba willing. And so if you're ready,
I'm
I have some
ready.
questions for
So let's
you.
just jump into the questions. Let's jump into the
Okay.
questions.
Okay, because your story is
Huge.
huge.
It's,
So I want to be able to get as much in here.
it's
So
multifaceted. We'll put it that way.
it really
Multiple layers.
is.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's actually something that not only am I learning, but a lot of people out there should know. It is a lifetime. It is a lifetime. And this is what I love so much about your story. So
Hmm.
um so the first question that I have for those that don't know Anna Johnson,
Uh-huh.
okay, can you share a little bit about your story? And I know I say a
Which
little bit
one?
because
Which
I
story?
know. Well,
You know what? We'll start from the present moving backwards. How about that? Okay.
yes, that's a good place.
All right.
That's a good way.
All right. So, those that may not know me, I am a mother to 8 children and I am married. I look very well polished. I have a master's in social work, which means I used to have my own private practice. I worked in psychiatric hospitals. Um, and I've done life coaching, but mostly what I do now is overcomer. I'm an overcomer coach, which basically specializes in helping people overcome. But the overcomer coach was birthed out of a challenge.
What was
And
that challenge?
yeah, well, actually, what it was is that when I had my third son, he was 2 years old. He's 19 now, but
Wow.
he was 2 years old, and I was considering. I was trying to figure out what to do career-wise as a therapist. Should I take a federal job or should I just stay with the
Mm,
state? Because I had an opportunity, and I was seeking the Father on this. And what I got was this kind of like this vision and this revelation. And I heard, Anna, it doesn't really matter whether you do the state job or whether you do the federal job, because this is not forever. Like, you're coming home. Well,
mm,
me being back then an overachiever, I'm like, okay, I'm coming home. So every day, like, I desired to come home and be home with my kids, and at that point I was starting to want to homeschool. And but I worked at a state psychiatric hospital, and my finances were tied up, in all of that. Like, me and
yes.
my husband were used to living at that level of pay, and we couldn't make it without me working. And so I kept looking for the door to open. I would be
Mm,
looking and looking and looking. Well, 2 years, my son's 2 years old, and it turns into 5 years later, then it turns into 10 years later. And then right about that 11th to 12th year, I'm like, I'm getting old, and my son is going to be at 14, like he's going to be 14.
wow.
I'm not going to be able now. I'm not going to be able to be home with him. I wanted to be home. I say with him, but with all of them, because at this point, I have 8 children. Yeah, I want. Oh, that says something right there. I get that third child, and there's 5 kids right behind him before I actually get to come home.
Wow.
And so I really dug in, and I knew, as a therapist, I was asking the Father. I'm on private practice in this time period, and I was asking the Father, like, why are believers, because I did therapy for unbelievers and believers, I'm like, why are believers having a more abundant life? And I'm not
Mm,
prosperity thing, but why are they not getting up? I was
yes.
seeing believers knocked down and not getting up. Well, I was knocked down, meaning like I was in a prison. I was in a career prison, meaning I was in a place where I had been groomed to be. My mom groomed me to be a career lady.
Yes.
And so I was groomed for that position. I was trapped and I couldn't get out. And so I knew that I needed the Father's help. So I started fasting. I did
Mm,
everything I knew, spiritually and mentally and physically. I did everything I knew to do. And I've
wow.
been doing this on and off through the course of the 12 years. Lots of fasting, lots of praying, lots of journaling to the
Mm,
Father, and lots of declaring and decreeing. Okay, but that
yes.
really focused that last year and a half, and so focused that I still remember I was working at the state psychiatric hospital, and one of the patients said to me, she said, "Shug, you need to get some new clothes, or you need to eat something, because my clothes are falling off of me." That's how serious I was.
Wow.
And
That's
I'm
awesome.
so serious. And I'll say that to both. I'm telling you, this is what it takes to overcome. And
Right. Well, and you were in a desperate
I was
place, right? At
desperate.
that
So
point.
I was exercising spiritual principles. I was praying to the Father. At first, I started out as begging because I didn't know any better. But then I grew in that begging, I grew in relationship with him, believe it or not.
Wow.
And so, I continued on that journey. But one of the things, this is why I'm the overcomer coach in a lot of ways, is I was looking around and nobody could help me. Nobody. I would, my husband didn't understand, other mothers didn't understand. I was reaching out to elders, in the faith. They didn't understand. And I thought, this is a lonely place. And
Yes.
so when I got on the other side of that, I wanted to walk beside people so that they would never have to walk alone
12 years.
In a challenge. In a challenge.
Wow.
And it was all because I wanted to come home and be with my babies.
Yes.
And so, I did that, and then my life took a change. It just took a turn. After that year and a half of 18 months of consistent praying and fasting and pleading before the Father and worshiping before the Father and being desperate. Overcoming is for the desperate. It's not
for the desperate.
It's not for the ones that you cannot date overcoming. You got to be all in.
It's all or nothing.
All or nothing.
All or
yeah.
nothing.
And so, I tried it in my physical strength, and I had a brick wall, and I was broken. And when I got to the end of me, guess who I found? I found Yeshua. That's right.
Hallelujah.
I found him. And he said, Anna, he said, what I have for you, and you don't have to kill yourself to get it. And I don't know. I can't. There's been several people that I've said that message to, and it's transformed their life. When I say, what he has for what he said to me, because I was physically killing myself. I was working myself to death, because I was trying to deliver myself, not knowing that I was trying to deliver myself. So that's where I was reborn in a lot of ways. And I end up, with revelation over that next year and actually 2 years, I ended up leaving private practice, abandoning everything, looking foolish for the kingdom.
Haven't we all been there?
Yeah,
we've a lot of overcoming stories. A lot of overcoming stories. You look ridiculous.
Oh, I look foolish because I left everything clinically. I left my entire my life's work. I had worked myself to the top, to the place that I'd always wanted. I wanted my own private practice, and that is, yeah. So it started out with me it was just a praying mama, desperate to be home with her babies.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That mama rose up.
And that
very powerful.
Yeah, and so I came home, and I want to encourage anybody that's listening, if you're like, Anna, I've been wrestling with the same challenge for so long. My challenge lasts 12 years. I came home when my son was 14. But you know what? The Father kept his promise. He kept his promise because his word is a promise. And I came home.
Yes.
And
haven't you often wondered why it took 12 years? If you could share a little bit about that.
Well, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to come home. I thought I was. I wanted to come home with impure motives. It was all about me. I wanted to be with my babies. I wanted to do this. Me. And, and Abba told me, he says, Anna, you're going to come home. But I put too much in you for you to just your focal point to be the home. We all have certain giftings and certain things that he has loaded us with.
Yes.
And so I wanted to come home, and I wanted to be super homeschool mama, which, wow, I still homeschooled because I had private practice. I still homeschooled, but I wasn't able to homeschool on the level I wanted to, really. But he said, you're going to help believers overcome for my glory. Help people get unstuck. I've been helping people get unstuck clinically for, over 10 years. I mean, I started as a clinician back in 2003. I started working as a clinician, and I left the clinical field in 2018.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Which leads me to my next question, because I would love to know how your story shaped you and who you are now and how you became the overcoming coach, which I know that you shared a lot of the clinical side, but
Mhm.
I would love people to understand that you lived in an RV. You
Uh, you
gotta
want me
tell
to
that
go there?
story.
You
Yes.
want me to go there?
Talk
Okay.
about overcoming. I can't even, like, with all of your
Oh,
children,
oh.
like, go
This,
there.
this is a great story because, so I'm praying to the Father to bring me home. Okay, so I'm
Yes.
living, I'm living in a 3,000 square foot home, corner lot, North Carolina. I'm like in the
Mm-hmm.
same neighborhood with the mayor. I'm living good
Yeah.
with my husband and six of our children because two of them were raised.
Right.
And the father's like, okay, you get to come home. But guess what? I came home for a month, and then in July, I became homeless. And the sense
Yeah.
is that, he said, you get to come home. Now, listen, be careful what you're asking for, guys, because it will require a sacrifice. Can we just say sacrifice? It will require a
That's
sacrifice.
big.
So he answered my prayer, but I had to sacrifice the comforts that that
Mm-hmm.
that that, that I was receiving by working outside of the home. So we
Yes.
were homeless from July to November trying to secure a camper because I didn't, my husband's self-employed and I no longer had a job. And I was
Wow.
coaching at that point, I was coaching people, you know, I was coaching them for free. I coached people
And from your car.
from my car, yes,
From your car.
from my
Yes.
car, from a park, from a library, wherever I could be. So we were homeless from, I say homeless, we were staying with different people and this looks reckless. This is not Anna Johnson, okay? Because Anna Johnson doesn't do things like this,
Right.
But it was a move of the spirit, and everybody thought we were crazy. But finally in November, a door opens up and we get a
Mm.
camper. And and I'm thinking we're going to be in this camper a year. We were in that camper from November of 2018 until April of 2022.
Wow. 3 years.
Yeah.
Almost four, right?
And almost
Plus.
four, and that thing was falling apart, guys. And that's a whole nother testimony in itself. Because
Yeah.
6 kids and a small dog in a camper. I didn't have one of those fifth wheels where they're all fancy or
Mm-mm.
whatever. I had one of those little travel trailers. It did have a bunkhouse. And the kids started out small and they were all
Wow.
growing.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, the father, and I used to beg, I would beg the father, I'm like, can I just have this? Can I just have that? And I would plead with him. And he would say,
Yes.
no, Anna, you have to do it this way. And,
Yes.
and now look,
That was a big lesson you taught me.
yeah,
There's just no.
you have to do it this way. And I didn't realize what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
But he was refining me. I was in the refining pot. I was in the refining. I was in the equipping. I was in being getting that endurance, that resilience, and the no
Right.
excuses.
Yes.
Not to
I love that.
mention, I was in Lubbock, Texas, in the month of July, I believe. Yeah,
The heat. The heat.
I recorded. Was it July? It was either July or August. Um,
Your podcast.
my
Yes,
podcast
guys, because
from
she has
my
amazing
car
podcasts from your
in
car.
Lubbock, Texas.
Mhm.
30 consecutive days of podcasting. And I had never podcasted before by myself like that. Um,
Yes.
so, yeah, be careful what you ask for because you will get it. And
Yeah.
it comes with sacrifice. It comes with sacrifice. And so, because, people might have thought, I realize now that Father he was sending a seal upon me in the sense of saying, like, no, like, she's not just talking this, like, she's lived this out. And
Yes.
this is
That's
only
very important.
yeah, this is wisdom that comes from traveling the mountain.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And living it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that's why in my notes I had written it down because it is powerful. It is very, very powerful to know that there's so many people out there being called to do the same thing, and
Mhm.
your faith has a cost.
Mhm.
Overcoming has a cost. So can you tell us a little bit about why you're doing this live broadcast on Mondays? What
Mhm,
is it that the Father's telling you to share,
mhm,
and
mhm.
what direction you want to go?
Right. So we wanted to give people an opportunity to ask me questions.
I love
And I
that.
love answering questions. Anybody that knows me, I love answering good questions. Okay.
Yes.
Good questions.
Yes.
And so, this is an opportunity for people to submit a question that now we won't probably, it depends on how many questions we get, how many we'll be able to answer. But
Yes.
we'll be putting a link, we'll put a link in this, somewhere in this post so people can actually send their question to me. And so the next 3 weeks, moving forward, we're going to be
Yes.
talking about, I'm going to be answering parenting questions.
Yes.
Parenting
Yes.
questions. Uh,
And
and
so
yeah.
why parenting questions? What do you think? What do you I could tell you, like, not only what is going on around in our area, but what is going on? Why do you feel the Father is leading you and the Holy Spirit is telling you parenting
Well,
in
one,
particular?
my own personal experience, even as a therapist and even as a coach, is I'm seeing lots of parents, even fathers, asking me to help them with their children. Like they literally just kind of like want to drop their kid off and say, Anna, please work on them, and almost like you're running to the
Mhm.
ER, with a child that's you feel like they're dying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm not able to, depending on especially the age of the child, I'm not able to bring that child in a place of overcoming because they're not in a place of wanting to receive.
Right.
However, I am able to influence their environment through the people that have authority over their lives. And
Yes.
and so being able to equip the parents, because the parents have more power and authority than a lot of times we feel desperate as parents, than they
That's
know.
right.
Equipping those parents on what to do, because right now we're seeing self-harm, we're seeing depression, we're seeing anxiety, we're seeing people falling, we're seeing parents crying out for their children because they're falling away from the faith. And so I love to equip those parents to be able
Yes.
to do that. And I have not, like, I have 8 children, and I have 3 that are grown. The youngest grown one is 19, and then I have a 25-year-old, and then I have a she'll be 30 in January.
Wow.
And I have some strong-willed children in the bunch.
Hmm.
And I have had
With
some,
amazing testimonies.
yes,
We'll
and I
get to
have
there.
had some prodigals as well. And so I don't only speak from like clinical experience or just practical experience from what I've seen in other people. I speak from personal experience as well and how the Father delivered me.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes all a parent needs is they need some hope. And so
Yes.
when they hear another parent, it's one thing. Yeah, I want to hear from the coach, but what about as a parent? Like, what do you know as a parent? And so
Yes.
I love to put that backpack of hope on them and turn them in the right direction and say, go get it. Like, go
Which
and get it. And yeah, yeah,
which is what
yeah.
the
So
first
yeah, so
session that I
you
had
share
with
your
you.
testimony. Like, that's how we met, right?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
April of 2022. I came
Mm-hmm.
to you because I have a teenage daughter
Yeah.
that we were pretty desperate about. And it's a long, long story, but I could tell you we're on the other side.
In
Of
a
course, she's still a
year, which
teenage,
is a big deal.
in
In less,
year,
yeah.
in a year, and truly, that's what you offered at that time, and the simplicity of that hopefulness
Mm-hmm.
was the gospel and what the promises of God
Mm-hmm.
are.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me, and you told Ryan and I, walk in that. Like, I'm getting chills.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I love, that analogy that you put. It's a backpack that I put on, and I walked along. I still needed more tools, but at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, that backpack that I put on was that hope and in the promises of God in 1 hour. In 1 hour.
Hallelujah.
And so ultimately, I understood through that conversation that Ryan and I had to work on ourselves,
Right.
because there's one thing that you told us that was very, very powerful, is that you could not set up Olivia to fail. And so if it's almost like if you work on the child and you put him right back in that environment,
Mm-hmm.
you're setting that child up for failure.
Right.
And
Right.
And so ultimately, what we've done is we spent a whole year and then some, and it's going to be a continuing education for us,
For the rest of our
for
lives.
the rest of our lives, overcoming and coming alongside people that want to overcome with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's that
And
backpack.
yes, and knowing when to release someone's hand and continue to
Yes.
walk and pray that they will catch up,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know.
And it's very hard, Anna,
Mm-hmm.
because in that 1 year, it is a lot of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
14-year-old daughter. It is
Yeah.
a lot of sacrifice, but at the end of the day, it's what we're called to do, and
Hallelujah.
it costs you your life. And
Hallelujah.
so, a year later, that is pretty radical. And I
Yeah.
understand your story, but it was totally worth it.
Right. And
And
you have
we
like a
will never
whole
stop.
life transition. And you know, for those that are thinking, well, I can figure this out by myself. What would you say to those people?
I will say this. I had been going to therapy since I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be 50 years old this year. And I had tried doing it on my own. And what I love about what all of your wonderful programs offer is that we don't do it by ourselves. It's not even just you and me anymore.
No.
It's that we're bringing, you want to
We're
bring a group of, other
the
believers
body,
come
the body
together.
of
The body
Yeshua.
of yes, the body of Yeshua come together and overcome together.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do it by yourself.
And
I
unity,
couldn't.
oh my
I
goodness.
mean,
Yeah, unity. Abba loves unity. He absolutely loves unity. He absolutely loves unity. Now, one of the things that I heard when I was what I heard when you were talking that I feel like I need to share with whoever might be watching this is that do not allow the enemy to talk to you about your children.
yeah, that was big.
You know,
Oh, yes,
do not allow the
somebody said
enemy
that.
to tell you about your child. Do not even allow yourself to tell you about your
Yes,
child. Allow the voice of God to tell you about your child. Because, you know, Father desires that none shall perish. He desires that we would all grow in righteousness and overcome. And and so a lot of times we look at our children and the enemy gets in our ear or our own flesh gets in our ear, like gets
yeah,
in our ear, and we parent from there. But we are actually called to parent from a place of victory. You know why? Because that is where Abba Father parents from.
yes,
He
that's
parents from
right.
a place of victory. And so we really got to put our heads on straight every day.
Every
And
day.
several times a day because I have a 13-year-old daughter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Woo!
yeah, and she's strong willed. It's
Yes.
like I have like two, three that are strong willed. Uh, so, and so, you know, in nurturing them, you know, not breaking their personality, not trying to fit them
Yes.
into a mold, but really seeking that revelatory knowledge from the Father. Okay, Father, I trust you're working in this. And have you set your children apart unto the Father? I
Mm-hmm.
stand on that because my children were, you know, my last let's see, 6, 7, the last 5. Look, I'm trying to count everybody. The 3rd through the 8th, let's do it that way. They were set apart from the time, they were set apart unto the Father from the time they were 2 weeks old, at least.
Yeah.
Some of them were set apart from the womb, okay, meaning that I knew that I was going to have them and they were given a name and all of that. And so I would grow, whenever you feel hopeless, remember the sanctification because it would
Yes.
say you sanctify your children because it's not about making them walk the walk. It's about bringing them into the understanding, the revelatory, and the relationship with Yeshua.
That's
And
right.
here I am already jumping into parenting, but but also, you know, walking without hypocrisy. You can
That was big.
children love to. I mean, I won't say they love. Children are able to see hypocrisy, and teenagers will manipulate that if they see it, and you
Yes.
know it. So,
Yes.
like, well, you tell me to be nice, but you got an attitude. You
That's
tell me to
right.
do this, but you're not doing that.
That's
And
right.
so, you really want to be an influencer for your children. You got to start with you. It always starts with us.
Always. Always. Well, and I know that you're like, well, we're already talking parenting, but at the end of the day, even the Torah tells us it's about the next generation, and that's who the enemy wants to come
Yeah. So
against.
we got to get out of our feelings. We got to
We
get
got
out
to
of
get out of
our
our
feelings,
feelings.
out of our frustrations, out of our fear, because I know with you is you had anxiety because you cared.
I
You know, some
I
parents
did.
can grow apathetic because they're tired. They've been worn down. And I know that experience. Okay.
Yeah.
I know that experience because you'll see, and I say that because when my children became adults, when the oldest, the firstborn was prodigal, still is prodigal in a lot of ways. And so, that constant wearing of you're the one
Yes.
fighting and you're getting resistance and you're fighting, you can get apathetic. But Abba says, don't, he says, don't you get apathetic. He
Mm-mm.
says it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you got a job to do. I gave those children to you. Those children are for you to steward. Get to stewarding. So if you're having trouble with your children, whether you seek, advice from me or counsel from me or coaching from me, or whether you go to a therapist, make sure you get the counsel first.
That's right.
Don't drop those kids off until
Mm-mm.
you're equipped for the drop off.
That's right.
And the other thing is like I never know, like people who want me to meet their kiddos and help. I never know when my time is to meet them, but I know that when
Mm.
I do meet them, I want them to have that overcomer experience. And so if
Yes.
they're watching me premature, then they will not associate me with overcoming. They'll
That's
associate
right.
me as rules and whatever, whatever. And
Well, in
yeah,
a negative way. And
yeah,
so,
exactly. And so there's still hope. So I'm like, sometimes it's like, like I was sharing my testimony about my daughter. It's on our parenting class.
hmm,
And, the advice I got from the father after I tried everything clinically, spiritually, physically, he was very practical. He said, keep her alive
yeah. And that's
for the day of
powerful.
redemption. Keep her
Yes.
alive because as long as she has breath, there is hope.
There's hope. Yes.
So, yeah.
And
So
as
I
a
digress.
parent, that
Yeah.
has to be
Mhm.
enough, honestly.
Yeah.
And I know that we said we are going to keep it
Yeah.
short, but I do want to say this.
Uh-huh.
Coming from a place of I'm a self-help queen,
Yeah.
done a lot of therapy. We've been in Torah for 12 years. We had done all the things. We had done all the things. And the more that we prayed, the more that we did,
Yeah.
the more darkness came over her.
Mhm.
So a lot of times it's what you said, that hopefulness, that backpack of hope that you gave me
Yeah.
was either the word is true or the word is not true.
Hmm.
And you stand on that word and you do what you got to do in humility
Yeah. In
and in
humility.
in
That's the
humility,
key.
which was
Yeah.
the hardest for me, because for me it was like she has to look a certain way, she has
Be
to
a
act
certain
a
way.
certain
Yeah.
way, and that's the road I had to go on.
Right. And sometimes
So
your children, I think sometimes people feel like they're a failure. Parents feel like they're a failure.
mm,
And sometimes it's not a parent fail.
mhm,
I used to blame myself for everything.
yes,
And what the father revealed to me, he's like, well, look at my kids. Like, you see all my kids? You like, look
yeah,
at all of my kids. And I'm
that's
unashamed.
awesome, they're a
I'm
mess.
unashamedly their parent. Look at
Yes,
David.
that's
I mean, look what
awesome.
David did. Look at Moses.
Jacob.
You know, Jacob. And so he owns his kids. He encourages, inspires his kids. He disciplines his kids.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but he's unashamed.
yes. So, okay, so Tanya Kirk asked, "What's the backpack of hope?" I just
Yeah,
hashtag that
yeah.
backpack of hope.
Well, the backpack of hope is it is you know what it is a word that gives you that juice to keep pressing
Yes.
forward. And so it's different for different people. But a backpack of hope is where someone comes alongside you and they say, "Hey, I got news. This is what the word of Yah says, or this
Mm-hmm.
is how he worked in my life, and he can do it in yours as well." And that fills that person back up, and they're
Yes.
able to move forward. And it's a backpack because listen, we're all on a journey, and don't let
I
me
know.
catch anybody sitting down. Okay?
Yeah. And sometimes I took it off and I was
Yeah.
like, oof, no, let me pick it back up.
Yeah, well, you know what? And it feels good to the flesh in some ways when we take off our backpack of hope because we get into that
Yeah.
place of self-pity
Yeah.
and we're like,
Yes.
oh, poor. And, the flesh likes to feel bad for itself. It
Yes.
really does.
Yes.
Like, Poor
Yes.
me, you know,
Well,
poor
and that's where
me.
I had to stand on what a lot of what you teach or mentor, what you mentored me in. It's either truth or it's not truth, and it's a choice.
Yeah.
And it's not just a statement of faith. It's like you
Simple.
have to walk
Yeah.
it out.
Right. Simple, profound truth
That's
that
right.
we get away from because it's our human nature to overcomplicate things.
That's
You know,
right.
if Eve would have just kept it simple, no, he said, I cannot eat from that tree. Everything would, we would be having a whole other conversation right now, right?
I know.
But
Okay.
yeah, humanity likes to tinker with things and take it to, to different
Yes,
levels.
that's very
But
true. We complicate
overcoming,
things.
you and I said, like, overcoming is crazy simple. It's
Yeah,
crazy simple, but it's not easy.
but it's
And
hard work.
especially for Americans want it easy. All flesh wants it easy, honestly.
Hmm.
But certain cultures, the cultures that have more comfort just
Yeah,
draws to more comfort.
that's
It
right.
just wants more.
That's
So,
right.
um, yeah. And
Okay, so this is a little
it's not the
tiny
short
bit.
road, it's the long road too. And that was one of your things. You're a
Yes,
sprinter.
yes,
You like to get it done
yes,
and be finished. So,
yes. And it's a marathon, and it's a whole journey of a lifetime
I
until we
like
get back to the Garden of Eden.
that's right. And that's why, Father's been showing me he wants his children to get back up. They've been
That's
knocked
right.
down. He wants them to get back up. He wants them to actually take their life journey serious. He wants them to stop playing religion and being religious. And he wants them to be who he created them to be and who Yeshua made it so that we could be overcomers.
Hallelujah.
He wants us to walk in that. And so we don't have time. We need to we do need to seek counsel. That's scriptural. We need to seek counsel. We need to be intentional. And we need to be serious because the enemy is serious about his agenda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for some reason,
Absolutely.
some members of the body, more than I would like to say, have just sat down. And we read about in Revelations this lukewarmness.
Yes. Yeah. It's very sad. Or they've taken on the backpack of fear.
Okay. And not even knowing
Backpack of
it.
fear. And no,
Not
I was
even
there.
knowing it. They don't even know it.
They don't
They
know it. I
don't
was there.
even know it because sometimes the backpack of fear or anxiety looks like wisdom. It looks like
Hmm.
being wise, and they don't even
That's
realize
right.
they're
That's
operating
right.
from it. And that's why it's good to with our Overcomer conference calls that I'm doing now twice a month. We talk about everything overcoming. This is why we need to keep overcoming in our faith.
That's
We
right.
need to keep it in our faith because
I
we
truly
saw what
I
COVID
truly believe it
did to people. COVID really messed with people's heads,
big time. That
and and some fell away
they
from
gave over
faith.
their whole life.
Yeah,
Their whole life out of fear.
yeah. They didn't know they had it. And glory, hallelujah, that the Father uses things to reveal,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't be. Well, let us not be ashamed when He reveals something to us. Let us ask for the clothing.
Yes.
Yes, I accept
Yes.
the blood of right. I accept that robe of righteousness. But a lot of times the enemy's like, look at you. You did that. Oh, you're really bad off.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I am bad off. I do need that robe of righteousness. Let me
Yes.
go. Let me go. Just get another. Let me just get in my mind. Get in my mindset. Sit in that again, and sit in that.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, right. And someone just mentioned that the fear on kids is horrendous. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll speak for American culture. Part of it is that our culture is so used to being comforted, and so they have
Coddled.
the top their ability to handle frustration or hardship is very low.
Mhm. That's right.
And our Father shows us He's not afraid to take us through the high waters. He's not afraid to take us through the fire. He's not afraid to take us through trials and tribulations. He's not
No.
afraid.
Mm-mm.
And yet, some parents are afraid to take their kids through it. And that's what
Yes.
and that brings us back full circle where, um, you know, where people thought I was crazy and because they said you can't do this to your children. You can't
Yeah.
do that to your children. But what my children learned is they learned faith. They learned what faith, the not so pretty side of faith, what it looks like, and
Yeah.
obedience.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they've seen miracles
Oh,
because
oh,
how you got
miracle.
out of your
Yeah.
heartbeat. We don't have time today. You got to tune in next time.
Yeah, but
But
I'm
how
just
you
saying miracles on miracles on miracles. So if
that's
the Father calls you to do
amazing.
something, go ahead and watch you a miracle.
That's right.
Okay, because it's coming.
That's right. And your children saw that. Your
All
children
of them,
saw you walk that out.
all of them saw it. 6 of them lived it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And so,
all of them saw it.
okay.
All right,
We
we
said we were going to keep it short.
got to get ready. Yeah, we got to get ready for our detox challenge
Yes.
in noon.
And
So, what was our wrapping
so,
points? We're already talking about parenting.
um,
Yeah,
yes, we are going to do a 3-week series,
on parenting.
right? I'm like
Yeah,
so excited
yes.
on parenting.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put up a link that people can submit their
That's
questions.
right.
And for the next 3 weeks, we don't know, like you were saying, depending on how many questions come in, we can have conversations on the questions. And so I am super excited about that. You'll put up the link for
Mm-hmm.
the next 3 weeks. We'll do that. And then you also offer a detox that we're going to be starting today.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, so the detox and reboot challenges is a way to it is a way to detox your mindset and your body.
yes,
And this is on a rotation, so it's going to be every 4 weeks. The next one is of course in June. And so I'll be offering that. And then we have the Overcomer conference call that's the second and fourth. Yeah, second
yes, which is this
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
This
And
Tuesday.
that actually that is you get invited into the vault, and so you get to if you miss that live segment, you actually get to watch it. It's in a library. So
Yes.
so yeah, start
There's,
investing in your overcoming, and listen, everyone should start out with this book.
yes,
Okay.
that's
This
the
book
foundation.
is okay, listen,
I don't have mine.
this book is my journey in a lot of ways. And if you have this book, you have the coach. And what it is it's 8 steps to overcoming life's challenges. So for those people who don't have me, meaning someone to walk beside them, when they read this book, they should feel like I'm walking right beside
Yes.
them with the
Yes.
steps. So,
Yes.
yes, nobody has to
Well,
be out there alone. There's always
and you also have something that's very dear to my heart,
Mhm.
Anxiety Masterclass.
Yes, yes, and I don't have the dates for that yet. It's gonna
You
come
don't have
back.
it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but these are just things that you have plans, like so many things that you want to do. I love it. And so then there's another very exciting
Yeah,
weekend with Anna that
weekend
you're
with me.
planning.
For ladies. I'm gonna have for ladies. I'm gonna have a weekend tucked away with me. There's only gonna be 12 people that are able to attend. I'm going to be taking
Yes.
applications. And so that weekend is going to be a weekend of overcoming. And this is like a once in a lifetime experience. I mean, people go to my retreats and they see what the retreat's like. But
Yes.
imagine just a weekend of 12 people, 12 women connecting and overcoming as a group together. Surely they've got to be different when they leave.
I can't imagine how exciting. I don't know if I can make it, but I'm sure as heck gonna try. So
Well, you'll be there in spirit, I'm
I'll
sure.
be there in
So.
spirit. And so you also have Sukkot. Oh, and the conference, the Rise Up conference, coming to
Oh, we got a lot
Arkansas.
going on. I'm
Got
busy this
a
summer.
lot going on, and
Hmm.
so okay. I think that's it. We have in an hour. We have another call. Like you
That's
have
right.
another
Are
detox
you ready?
call.
Yeah, you ready for the detox?
I'm
Okay.
ready.
All right,
So,
guys.
would you mind praying for us?
Sure. Father, we thank you and we praise you and we give you the glory, Father. It's all about you and your testimony in our lives, Father, how you have worked in our lives, Father. And Father, I just pray for those that are listening, Father, that they would be encouraged and that they would make the sacrifice, that they would invest in whatever way you're calling them to invest,
Yes,
Father.
Father.
Overcoming isn't easy, but you sure have made it simple, and we thank you for that. In Yeshua's name we pray and we thank thee and give thee the glory. Hallelujah. 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 Listen, overcoming is for the desperate. It will cost you maybe everything. It depends on what the challenge is. I know, like, this last what birthed the Overcomer Coach, it cost me everything. I mean, everything. Everything
Yes.
that I had built crumbled to the ground. And then, but he restored it all, like, I don't even know how many folds.
Yes.
And I didn't do anything. I didn't build it. He built it.
He's building it.
3 years. And that's the things, I remember those 12 years when I was driving and I was like, I say I was driving, like, people know what my testimony is, but long story short, I ended up, like, driving that last 18 months before I had the breakthrough. I was driving about anywhere between 3 to 4 hours a day, and I was praying on that drive. And I had to be broken so that I could get on the other side of the challenge. It cost me everything. But I remember being in that car, and I still remember almost like the first day that I started driving. I was like, okay, okay, yeah, like, you're gonna give me this kind of thing. I was being a brat. I didn't realize it. I was being a Jacob. Okay, I was wrestling, and I had to wrestle for my faith.
Wow.
Because I had to wrestle for my faith so that I had to be able to pray the prayer on a deep level. And so I was reminding the Father of what he was able to do. But you know what I was really reminding?
Yourself. Wow.
So never give.
That's wonderful.
Keep wrestling. Make sure you keep the faith, whatever you do. And, and faith really, do you believe or do you not believe? Does he tell the truth or is he a liar?
That's where your choice comes in.
Yeah.
And then having the tools to walk it out.
And find the people
that believe something.
And find the people that have climbed that mountain.
Mm-hmm. They
know their way around the mountain.
Right.
Back in Israel's time, biblically, scripturally, they sought a prophet.
Mm-hmm.
They sought counsel. They sought a guide. They sought a guide, someone that had some revelatory knowledge. So we won't even get into this, to the spirit. Girl. We won't get there. But all right, guys, we love you. Listen, make sure you tune in on 10 o'clock, same platform here. Yeah. For Q&A, we're going to be taking questions about parenting, and you should listen in because, you may have the same question or you might learn from someone else's question. And yeah, thank you for joining us. And thank you for those that stayed from the beginning to the end. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. Shalom.
Shalom.